Have you ever imagined flying thousands of miles just to surprise the person who means the most to you, only to discover that life has changed in ways you never expected? Sometimes we spend months planning the perfect reunion, believing it will be filled with laughter, hugs, and happy tears. But every now and then, the greatest surprise isn't the one we planned. It's the one that teaches us what true kindness really looks like. Today's story is about friendship, sacrifice, and a homecoming that changed two lives forever. Stay with me until the end, because this unforgettable journey might remind you that the strongest friendships are built not on perfect moments, but on hearts that never stop caring. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Hope, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind the world kindness still exists. I had been living in Italy for almost a year as part of a work exchange program. Every day was filled with new experiences, beautiful cities, and amazing people. Still, no matter how exciting life became, I missed home. Most of all, I missed my best friend, Emma. Emma and I had been inseparable since middle school. We celebrated birthdays together, comforted each other through heartbreaks, and dreamed about the future while sitting on the old swings in our neighborhood park. Before I left the United States, we promised nothing would ever change between us. We talked almost every week. Sometimes our schedules made it difficult, but we always found a few minutes to laugh together. During the last month, though, Emma seemed different. She often ended our calls early and insisted everything was fine. I believed she was simply busy with work. Then I decided to do something special. Instead of telling her about my flight home, I changed my ticket and arrived 3 days earlier than planned. I imagined knocking on her apartment door, hearing her scream with excitement, and watching us laugh until we cried. I couldn't wait. After landing, I dropped my luggage at my parents' house, bought her favorite chocolate, and drove straight to her apartment. My heart raced as I climbed the stairs. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again. A few seconds later, the door slowly opened. Emma stood there looking thinner than I remembered. Dark circles surrounded her eyes, and she looked completely shocked to see me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, instead of smiling, tears filled her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. I was confused. "Emma, what's wrong?" She stepped aside without saying another word. As I walked inside, I noticed something strange. The cheerful apartment I remembered was almost empty. The television was gone. The couch had been replaced with 2 old folding chairs. Boxes of canned food sat against one wall. I looked at her. "What happened?" She tried to smile. "It's a long story." I sat beside her, waiting. After a deep breath, she finally spoke. "A few months after you left, my mom got sick." She explained that her mother had been diagnosed with a serious illness. Insurance covered some treatments, but not enough. Emma had taken a second job, sold most of her furniture, and stopped spending money on anything except rent, food, and hospital bills. I couldn't believe she had carried such a heavy burden alone. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She looked down. "You were finally living your dream. I didn't want my problems to become yours." Those words broke my heart. She had protected my happiness while quietly sacrificing her own. I reached across the table and held her hand. "You never have to carry this alone." She shook her head. "I'll figure it out somehow." That evening, instead of talking about my trip abroad, we cooked a simple dinner with the little food she had left. We laughed about old memories, but I could still see the exhaustion behind her smile. The next morning, while Emma was visiting her mother at the hospital, I quietly began making phone calls. I contacted old classmates, former teachers, neighbors, anyone who had ever known Emma. I told them the truth, not to ask for pity, but because people deserved to know about the incredible kindness she had shown everyone throughout her life. The response amazed me. Within hours, people began offering help. One neighbor delivered groceries. A former teacher paid the next month's utility bill. Someone else donated furniture. Another friend organized an online fundraiser. Nobody did it because they felt obligated. They did it because Emma had spent years helping others without expecting anything in return. She had volunteered at food banks, tutored struggling students, cared for elderly neighbors, and quietly supported friends through difficult times. Now kindness was finding its way back to her. When Emma returned home that evening, she froze at the sight of bags of groceries covering her kitchen floor. "What is all this?" I smiled. "It's what happens when good people discover another good person needs help." She looked around the apartment, overwhelmed. Then she started crying. Not because she felt weak, but because, for the first time in months, she realized she wasn't alone. That day reminded both of us that true friendship isn't measured by how many miles separate two people. It's measured by how quickly one heart reaches for another when life becomes heavy. I came home hoping to surprise my best friend. Instead, she reminded me that the greatest gift we can ever give someone is simply showing up when they need us most. If this story touched your heart, remember that even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's world. A phone call, a warm meal, a helping hand, or simply listening may become the miracle another person has been praying for. Be the reason someone believes in kindness today, because every act of love creates echoes of hope that travel farther than we will ever know. Emma stood in the middle of her apartment, surrounded by grocery bags, blankets, and kind notes from people she hadn't spoken to in years. She wiped away her tears again and again, unable to believe what she was seeing. "I don't know how to thank everyone," she whispered. I smiled and gently squeezed her shoulder. "You don't have to. Just let people care about you the way you've cared about them." For the first time since I had arrived home, I saw a real smile spread across her face. Over the next few days, more people reached out. A local mechanic repaired her old car without charging $1. A small family-owned restaurant sent hot meals to the hospital every evening. Volunteers offered rides whenever she needed them. Even strangers who had read her story online mailed handwritten cards filled with encouragement. Every message carried the same idea. You helped someone once. Now let us help you. Emma had never realized how many lives she had touched. One afternoon, we visited her mother together. The hospital room felt brighter than before. Emma's mom smiled as soon as she saw us. "So," she joked, "my daughter finally let someone rescue her." Emma laughed softly. "I guess I didn't have much choice." Her mother looked at me with grateful eyes. "Thank you for bringing my daughter back her hope." I shook my head. "I didn't do this alone. An entire community did." A week later, the fundraiser had raised enough money to cover several months of medical expenses. It wasn't enough to solve every problem, but it gave Emma something she hadn't felt in a long time. Time. Time to breathe. Time to sleep. Time to focus on her mother's recovery instead of wondering how the next bill would be paid. One evening, we walked through our favorite neighborhood park, the same place where we had dreamed about our futures years earlier. The old swings were still there. We sat down, letting the cool breeze remind us of simpler days. "I almost pushed everyone away," Emma admitted. "I thought asking for help meant I was failing." I looked at her. "No. Asking for help means you're human." She nodded slowly. "I've spent so much time trying to be strong that I forgot strength can also mean letting people stand beside you." Her words stayed with me. A few months later, I returned to my own job, but this time I wasn't halfway across the world. I had found work closer to home because I realized that success meant very little if I never made time for the people I loved. Emma's mother slowly became stronger after months of treatment. Recovery wasn't easy, but every small improvement felt like a victory. Emma also made a promise to herself. Instead of keeping her struggles hidden, she began volunteering at a local support group for family caregivers. She wanted others to know they didn't have to face difficult seasons alone. One night, after a meeting, a young woman approached her. "You don't remember me," she said. "But years ago, you helped my little brother with his homework every Saturday for almost a year. He graduated from college last month because someone believed in him when nobody else did." Emma covered her mouth in surprise. "I barely remember that." The young woman smiled. "We never forgot." As we drove home, Emma looked out the window with tears in her eyes. "It's strange," she said. "I thought kindness disappeared after the moment it happened." "It doesn't," I replied. "It grows quietly until one day it finds its way back." She smiled. "And sometimes it comes back when you need it most." Exactly 1 year after I had surprised Emma, we stood together outside the same airport where my journey had ended. This time, we weren't saying goodbye. We were welcoming home another friend who had spent months overseas. Emma carried a handmade sign that read, "Welcome home. You were never forgotten." As the arrival doors opened, I realized something beautiful. A single act of kindness never really ends. It inspires another. Then another. Then another. Like ripples across a lake, it reaches people we may never meet. I flew home expecting to give my best friend the surprise of her life. Instead, she gave me something far more valuable. She reminded me that the greatest gift isn't arriving with perfect timing or expensive presents. The greatest gift is being present when someone needs hope the most. If this story touched your heart, remember this simple truth: kindness is never wasted. Every encouraging word, every helping hand, every moment of compassion plants a seed that may bloom months or even years later. You may never see all the lives you change, but your kindness always leaves a mark. So today, choose to call a friend, forgive someone, help a stranger, or simply remind a loved one that they are not alone. Because in the end, the most unforgettable surprises are not the ones we plan, they are the ones created by hearts that choose kindness, even when no one is watching.